This video is brought to you by HalloCasa. Our tool transforms independent local real estate agents to global real estate agents. Create your own profile for free and get contacted by international investors. Sign up with the link in the description. Hello and welcome everyone to a 190-second session of HalloCasa. My name is Michael and today I'm talking to Jacqueline Danzer from Miami, Florida. Jacqueline is a seasoned real estate broker and the founder of Deluxe Real Estate Services. With a background as both an attorney and financial advisor, Jacqueline brings a unique and strategic approach to the world of real estate. She specializes in off-market commercial, industrial, residential, and land development properties across Illinois and Florida. With over 17 years of real estate experience and a remarkable track record of managing transactions involving millions of square feet in acquisitions, dispositions, and tenant representation, Jacqueline is known for discretion, sharp negotiation skills, and ability to tailor services to sophisticated investors and clients seeking exclusive opportunities. Today, we will dive into the dynamics of off-market deals, the nuances of working in both Florida and Illinois, and a journey from law to luxury real estate. Jacqueline, thank you so much for being on the show. It's the second time actually you're on the show, and I always love to talk with people from Florida. You're in South Florida. Why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
Thank you very much for the invitation. And sure enough, I believe that in our perspective, real estate in South Florida is growing. We have our roller coasters, but our roller coasters are like we are here in Florida with that diversity, the energy. When it goes down, you feel it. Why? Because you know it's going to go up. Not all the markets, either in the United States or in the world, behave like that. So yes, when it goes down, we, the brokers, have that challenge that the clients just remember when it was going up and stay up. So they wanted those prices when selling. But then is when the buyers are coming out and saying, I am commanding. I'm going to tell you how much I'm going to pay. You are desperate to sell. I want to buy at my price, or I want to rent. It depends. And then you are not really longer a realtor or a real estate broker or real estate professional. You become a counselor. You become a psychologist. You become something else that people do not know. We need to go through the process, which is not just selling. Selling implies more involvement. When the roller coaster is going up and is becoming a seller's market, then we have the same effect. Buyers are saying, why this guy is sticking in there? My offer is perfect. No, it's not. You already have 3 more sitting there. It's when we finally have a breathing time. And it doesn't matter if it is residential, commercial, or industrial, because that's the other thing. When residential is going down or is going up, follows immediately retail in the commercial side, and then industrial. Industrial in Florida is more towards the warehousing, flex space. We don't really have too many manufactories. We don't have too many assemblage. We are not Detroit and we are not in Illinois. So it's more storage. It's more light industrial. That's how we call it. And well, that's the flavor in South Florida. We are always busy. Now, the good news of Florida, our taxes are extremely low compared to any other place. That's very attractive. And our properties always get equity. That's something that in other stable markets, you don't get. You just get the same stability, same price. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, it just flicked a little because of inflation. But in Florida, something that today is 100,000, grab it, because in 5 years it's going to be 250, 300,000. So that's the beauty in our market.
Let's start from the beginning. You're originally from Latin America and you moved to Florida. Give us an overview of maybe the difference of doing business in Latin America versus in Florida and also in the US, especially when it comes to real estate.
Well, it's a challenge. United States have laws. We are regulated. We are having to follow the process of earning a license. It's funny because in South Florida, we have the joke that you get your driver's license along with the real estate license. So many realtors we have. But quantity doesn't mean quality. A lot of people get the license because they say the day I sell my house or the day I want to buy my house, I will then earn my commission. And with that, I help with the closing cost. So that doesn't make them really a realtor, it's another number. And that is one fact. You have many countries in Latin America where this is not a profession. So anyone is exercising that. Then in those countries, you also have the flavor of corruption. And you really have a lot of other disadvantages, I will say, more than advantages. Because having the opportunity to do something by your own without the professional knowledge in places where the title is compromised and you don't know who was the last owner, and you are just, if you are buying, you don't know who you are giving the money to, and then the title is corrupted, you are more in trouble than in happiness. You didn't buy anything, you just gave away money. That happens a lot. That was regulated many years ago in United States. Every state behaved different. And that's why we have title companies. We rely heavily in title companies, which also rely heavily in the insurance to the title to make sure that everything they found or didn't find in the title has been cleaned up and the purchaser is really purchasing a property free, clear, and marketable. Free of any encumbrances, clear of any liens or debts, and marketable that you can market back in case you want to lease it out, in case you want to sell it. So those are the important facts, the free, clear, and marketable terms that you cannot apply in Latin America. That would be the main reasons.
You have especially, you come from law and also have a financial background. How do you think your expertise and your experience has helped you in conducting the profession of real estate agent in general?
A lot. I love contracts, and real estate is based in contracts. Any negotiation that you start by just saying hello, you are already engaging into what becomes later a verbal commitment that in the state of Florida needs to be in writing in real estate to be able to be confirmed. And that's my passion. My passion is really contracts. So to me, having the ability to have that background first and have practiced law in my previous profession gave me the tools to be able to help absolutely anyone in the business transactions in any deal, no matter how complicated it has been. Either I have done a condo deconversion or I'm just doing a transaction of a industrial lease or a purchase and sale of a single family home. That really triggers a lot of things. First of all, the hunger that I always have of learning more. It's not just grabbing the buyer and the seller Perhaps the marketing, if I am in that season where you have to market. I do more off market, so to me that has been kind of easy, or became easy, because of the same reason. I study the property. So by studying the property, you study everything. And I love to study also the area where the property is located. I like to know the history of the area. I like to know who was the architect of the property. I want to know what is the future land use for the government in that particular place. So all of that curiosity as an attorney brings to the table an extra. That's really, to me, I believe in an extra. And not only as an attorney, remember, I also have finance study, to tell briefly. Everything comes down to numbers. So the analysis of the value of the property reminds me when I used to do the analysis to a trademark, and how we project the price. What would be the marketing price? What would be the price that the client needs to settle? Either I am representing the buyer, the seller, the tenant, or the landlord. And then obviously all the implications that are, because people say, oh, I pay him $1 million for that house. Well, you pay $1 million. That doesn't mean that he's getting into the pocket $1 million, because he probably have a 12% cost and expenses associated to the sale. And then I show that buyer that that's the reason the seller wants to stick in the $1 million, because he's going to get 8, 12, 10% less of that, starting with real estate commissions, closing costs. Probably if there is an outstanding debt, forget the $1 million. And that's the reason why it is important to know, yes, the law to everybody who does real estate, but you need to know the numbers. And the law not only into what is to do the contract, which is a tremendous problem that we have in Florida. A lot of people do not want to get familiar with the forms we get. We get them already done. We don't need to draft them. That's unlicensed practice of law. But we need to know our taxes. We need to know what are the implications in each city or each county. We need to know if the person had or not a mortgage. And all these factors are very important when it comes to deal with any real estate property.
Give us an overview of the market right now for someone who is not on top of the market right now in Florida, Miami, South Florida. Maybe there's also some differences in between, and maybe also your outlook towards the end of the year.
Again, we are booming. And we have new development like we haven't had since 2013, 2015, number one. We have inventory that is feeding a hungry market in all levels. We also have we have a couple of things. We have those, let's call some marketing people. I don't know if they are all realtors. I would be concerned, because they come and say, oh, this particular area is not performing, it's not selling because of either a hurricane, or because of this or because of that. They do not understand they are hurting the market, particularly making the sellers hold on their property. And if a seller has to sell for an important reason, then have to slash the price to nothing, or probably try to find another solution that is not good for them, because buyers read that, understand that this is their time to buy in that place and have a waterfront property or have a hub investment, and that's wrong. That's against our own profession. I am more into telling the people what we are going. For example, we have several cities in South Florida that are really emerging from what they used to be. One is Pompano Beach. Pompano Beach is changing the facade from from 0 to 100, from dark to sunshine. It is unbelievable the amount of commercial, residential, and industrial development and redevelopment, including what the city is doing, what Broward County is also helping in doing. And like that, we also have Hallandale, we have Hollywood, then the famous Palm Beach. Everybody says, oh, because of Donald Trump, but Palm Beach has been getting people even before Donald Trump. So that is really the important thing. We have a lot of, not a lot now, but we have very important developments that were approved for the EB5 visa. That's the one that with the investment of money gives you the residency. I took the job to recognize those that are still in the $800,000 before the one of $5 million Donald Trump wants to implement. The good news is that those are like, let's say, still active or grandfather in the $800,000 is an investment that is going to be returned, and some of them with interest to the applicant, meaning that once the EB5 is granted, he gets back this $800,000 plus any interest that accrue at the time. With the $5 million, that is not going to happen. We don't know yet where the EB5 is going with Donald Trump, but at this moment, the foreigners that are interested in getting the green card in United States, or to have it because they have children that are 10 years old and they want to invest, take the money out of their country and have the green card so they can send their children when they become teenagers to study in college and get the benefits of the people that are green card holders. This is the opportunity to invest. And I identify those things. So that's where the combination of being an attorney and a finance advisor, knowing a little of what to do with the properties is important. It is not selling a property that gives you the green card. No. Immigration has to approve the project. So those flavors are giving South Florida tons of interest. The international market is booming always. And remember that we are in a geographical position that connects to the world. Call it Asia, call it Europe, call it South, call it North, everywhere. So the geographical location will never make South Florida past. The incentives that we have again in taxation. For example, the one that I just approved for landlords and tenants, where sales taxes are taken away after October the 1st. We are going to then reinvent again what is CAM and the triple net and the double net. But you know how much money they are helping, at least those high-end restaurants that are leasing and have a 10-year lease and they have the escalations, the amount of money they have to just pay in taxes is tremendous. So for the landlord and the tenant, those are a win-win situation. Now, you need to know the law because that does not apply for Airbnb, residential income producing properties. So the people that are saying, oh, we are going to be tax-free for landlord and tenant, buy me these so many condos in this building for Airbnb, I manage for you, that's false. It is for commercial and for industrial and for very detailed. I have published already out there what is included and what is not included so people don't get misled into what is going on. But our market continues booming. We continue reinventing. We continue doing so much for everybody who wants to grow their portfolio, who wants to invest, who wants to relocate and come here to live either because of our weather or because of our political stability or because of our taxation, for many, many reasons.
You just mentioned taxes. Sales tax means same like in Europe, VAT. So I go to the restaurant and then you have like a 20% on top. So it benefits the restaurants and the commercial people, correct? That's what you mean by
No,
sales tax?
no, sales taxes for the restaurant tenant to the landlord. And there are some taxes. Every government, meaning from the big one, which in this case is the federal, then the state, then the county, and then the city, you have taxations of several levels. And the restaurants, just an example, it could be a retail, a store, it could be a warehouse. So these people in the camp have to pay taxes. Those taxes are the ones that are going to be waived. And you're right. For example, some of the taxes that you pay in the bill of a restaurant when you are eating, they try to put it into the consumer. Not all restaurants do that. I believe there was a time when it was even prohibited, but it was the only way to survive. And more after 2020, that many restaurants had to close because they couldn't perform, they couldn't keep it open, they couldn't continue paying the personnel to not go to work. So they finally found a way that those taxes were not feeding the government enough, or didn't make any difference having that extra money coming from the landlord and the tenant, which is completely different from the other properties that continue paying taxation. And let me tell you, for example, Airbnb has to pay so many taxes, more than any hospitality, in all levels, and they are continuously being monitored and inspected. I understand probably the hotels created that to continue being surviving in the market, because Airbnb was literally taking over. So now these people investing really have to put a lot of money in marketing, connect with good marketing, how do you call it, vendors, to put that property out there and list it out constantly, at least at 90-95%, because they are going to continue being consumed by taxes. But it's great news, because taxes was, besides insurance, a great deal of cost to the tenants, and having the ability to erase that from the finance became a very attractive state. So now we are seeing that being injected to have our empty retail become busier, because it helped. We have also other incentives depending by city, by county. We have tons of things to offer to any tenant and or any landlord. It depends then on the private negotiations, but the properties are getting more. There is so much to feed that there is hungry out there. So it's important, and it's beautiful what is happening.
You just mentioned that Florida in general is so well positioned because you have people from all over the world basically flocking in. What's the investor profile you are dealing with the most? And you also do you see people from Middle East? Do you see people mostly from Latin America? Do you see other US Americans buying? And also maybe because it is, let's say, more favorable than to live in New York City, we always have this debate, red state versus blue state. For, let's say, people with a lot of money, the red states in my head always have like a more favorable approach. What's the people who buy at the moment in Florida?
Well, I didn't even see Florida with the red or the blue. I don't mix with politics. I think that our diversity really calls for both, if I have to go to any color. I think our color is really green, either because we are really in a beautiful, and that's the reason of our name, Florida. We have our greenery, our flowers and stuff, but we like green. We like the dollar. That color is our color, number one. And then I can tell you, we had always have the influence of Latin people. We always joke calling Miami Latin America. And then once you pass to Broward County, you are welcome to United States. And I don't think that's longer the case. You have to go all the way to Palm Beach and then you arrive to an Orlando where you have a lot of Latin people. So Latin America has been always the predominant. We have also a great influence of Canadians, a lot. Then you have Europeans, from which I believe it goes by seasons. We have a lot of French and English people, and it depends on the locations. Naples, for example, was always the favorite to many Canadians, but also to English people. And Naples have evolved beautifully, still having a lot of English people getting into the area. Miami, for example, you go to a Brickell, Mexicans are heavily investing in Brickell, downtown. Anything that is close to the financial districts, you see Mexican buying. And I will say that there is then a great degree of Argentinian, Colombian, Brazilian, and I might say Chilean buying on more or less the same level. Then we go to Fort Lauderdale, that is getting that huge revision and change. Las Olas Boulevard becoming gorgeous again. The old Fort Lauderdale, they are recovering. Flagler Village is just amazing. The amount of shopping centers they are going to do here, to the level that we Latin people like to enjoy, with the elegance, with the flavor, with the happiness, the lights, the plants. They are giving that to us in the future. It's already all under reviews. But we are getting all these areas being redeveloped. We are getting into the best. So that is attracting. For example, we have the MAC that came to invest a couple of years ago in the Miami area. And they are very busy in Dubai and they are very international. So the MAC is a very important group in real estate that had put some footprint here in Florida. We have developers from Latin America, but as we have the developers from other countries, we have them because from those countries came the wealthy people, like you mentioned, to purchase their second home, third home, investment home, the house that is going to have their children while they go to college. Everybody has a different need. Some of them because of medical reasons, but they purchase, they consume, they invest, and then they not only buy the property, they decor it, and then they go out to eat and they go out to enjoy, and they move the economy. So we do have all of this happening. I see also a lot of influence from Africa coming over, besides the standard of Latin America and Europe. Asia has always been around, but they are also investing in some important land. And I believe that still is going to continue being Latin America, our strong one, because of our roots with the Latin people. And Florida was the first one discovered by the Spanish. So Hispanic is big in here. But then we have a mixture. We have really an influence of Europe, Africa, Asia, interesting mixed.
Perfect. Explain us the buying process as a potential investor. How difficult is it if I, as a foreigner or as someone else from the United States, would like to buy?
You mean a foreigner or just anyone, foreigner and American?
Is there a difference?
There is a difference at the time when they are going to sell. Well, for the foreigner needs to have the money in the United States because they need to place that money into an escrow account when we are in the middle of the process. And any escrow account will go back to where are the sources of this money coming into United States. How did it happen? Because remember, in Florida, we have a lot of problems with money laundry and whatever is similar to money laundry. And obviously, to buy any property, the first thing someone needs to have is money. And that's the first question many realtors do not ask. I think it's automatically when you call me and say, Jacqueline, I would like to buy a property. And I will ask you, what kind? I want a condo, or I want a medical building, or I want a warehouse. So I say, do you want to buy cash or do you need leverage? And that will answer to me, what kind of buyer are you and your interest? So if it is cash, bingo. And the next question, how much money? And if it is not, my very important question, have you been pre-qualified? Have you already been talking to a mortgage broker or your bank? And I can tell you that 85% of the times is no, I just want to know what is out in the market. And it's usually people that have been through scrolling Zillow, Redfin, all these websites, finding nothing and wants to kind of see if it is the same thing that we realtors see. So I need to filter out those because I am in a stage in my career, like many other realtors, that we cannot invest time in not closing, in not producing, in not even being able to educate somebody who doesn't want to be educated. Because you have people that they are just kind of, their motto is waste time. So those are out of the picture for many of us. And I will work out with those that are legitimately interested because they are getting married or because they are relocating. So then I take them by the hand and we start with the money. If you have not been pre-qualified, let me pre-qualify you. If you live overseas, do you have the money in here? No, I don't even have a bank account. Big problem, because not all countries can open a bank account in the States. So I need to work with them a little harder. They need to understand that they need to transfer the funds here. I need to find them who might be representing them as attorney or title company to handle the money. And once I have passed that, I will know how much money they are really talking about. There is opportunity for foreigners to get mortgage here. And there are plenty of products out there and plenty of companies that can provide those services. But again, I need to know. I also ask them, you buy the property, you have to pay a mortgage. Are you going to live in there? Do you have already like your green card, or can you come 3-4 times a year? Or are you going to leave it into a rental? And what happens if this property has 2, 3, 4 months without renting? Let's say we had a hurricane, the roof collapsed, the tenant has to leave, took the deposit out, and you have that property sitting in there waiting for the roof to be replaced. When that happens in Florida with a hurricane, you have to really wait because everybody's busy and everything becomes expensive. So those are the questions I travel with the potential buyer, not to scare them out, but to teach them that there is something besides the beauty of owning a property in the United States, because I really want them to have the American dream. And the American dream comes with little nightmares. So you have to wake up from the dream to kind of control that and go back to dream. Cash buyers are a dream for us, if we need to repeat that word again. Yes, I represent the buyers. Once I know how much money they can invest, then I tailor down to the area they know. And if not, then I explain the areas, the locations. Why in South Florida? Why not a little more north? If your money cannot purchase anything down in Miami, you might be able to purchase something a little more northwest. And here is what you want around the area. Here you have the same replica. So I take them, once I know where they are standing with the money, I take them to the location, which is the second important thing, is where. And last, I worry about the property. Many buyers said the house have to have a garage and have to have a pool, and I have sold houses to people without garage and without the pool. But the space to put all of that, or the ability to reconvert that bedroom into a garage space. So those little amenities after, they don't worry me so much, like number one, money, and number two, the location. When it comes to sell that same property, a foreigner have to go with something called FERPA, which is a tax that is being withheld in the States for reasons that they invented some time ago. But that needs to be handled with a CPA who knows how to do that, because title company cannot close without putting that money directly into the hands of IRS. And once they have done their taxes, they can either return the 100% of that 15% retain, or 20, I don't know what was the number now, or a part of that. It all depends on the taxation behavior of that client. That is like, they did that mostly to make sure that the obligations of that foreigner are going to be covered with that tax that was withheld with the sale of the property. Many sellers just don't want to go through the deal and they leave it there. So that's an extra money for United States, and other sellers do go through the little headache. Others do corporations, and the corporations then is being corporation. I don't know. There are details that an attorney and or CPA have to explain. Not all corporations can be exempt when the owner is a foreigner. So is the owner the one that goes through that track? But it's in the sales where a foreign buyer, I need to also educate, because many I say, the realtor never told me. No, and I say that verbally, and I follow up with an email. So buying is very simple. Once you have done the homework, and you need to know the criteria of the person. And again, I repeat, the first question of the criteria is money. How much money do you have to buy what you want? Second, location. And then the whys that goes with why that location and why this and why that. I have clients that they want to buy a condo in Miami just to leave it rented to have an income producing. Well, I have deviated them from buying a condo in Miami to buy in another area of Miami a duplex or a triplex, because they are thinking into income producing properties. And from there on, they just continue buying duplex and triplex in other areas that are cheap to buy, excellent to rent. And again, in Florida, the properties always earn equity. So you are building equity regardless of how much is your return of investment in the moment, the cash in cash hands. Not all properties are excellent performance into producing a humongous cap rate. They pay the bills, but the equity that comes with those properties are the ones that are important to take on their consideration. If you are buying right now, you don't want to flip, you want to flip in the future with a tenant inside. Then is when you make the money.
Do you see that happening a lot, that someone overextends their investment and says, I can handle this, looks amazing? And do you think sometimes you have to push back? And how do you deal with such situations?
Well, someone who doesn't have the money cannot buy. Simple like that. Someone who has the money to put it as a down payment and wants to continue making investment has to prove that has the ability to manage. And the one that is going to get hurt is the client. I might give my best of my advices. I have explained the tolerance of risk. Risk is, being everywhere. There are clients that they want to take the tolerance of risk, and then they will put the property for sale if they cannot continue, or if they doing very well, it might not be necessarily that they don't perform. A family member can get ill, someone can pass away, something might happen. So we do discuss that through the process, that before they get the real estate professional advice. I always introduce them to CPAs, to attorneys, to several title companies, so they already are setting up a compound of professionals to advise them.
Now, taking a step further a little bit and thinking right now also about other agents, maybe. I don't want to criticize someone, but more saying, what is good business conduct as an agent? Where do you see your capability and also your skill set to have these difficult conversations, to really go one step ahead and say, listen, I advise you not only like on a call like this right now for 60 minutes, but I advise you for 6 months. I spend a lot of time with you. Where do you think do you have to basically navigate yourself in order to have maybe also referral contracts, to have repurchases, to have a lot of good clientele over the decades? What do you think is the key there to conduct proper business in order to also have a sustainable business over the decades? Because you mentioned in the beginning, everyone is a real estate agent in Florida. Everyone who has a driving license. So they're also having having the differentiation among the competition and making sure that you are doing proper business. What do you think is there the secret sauce to really conduct your business in an ethical way?
To me, I believe that everything has to do with the commitment, the personality, being honest. If I am talking to someone who had the face to make me believe that he's working only with me, that he's following my advice, that he likes what he's doing, he's happy with investment, that alone develops into that person referring my name. And I have built both my businesses, first my law firm and now the brokerage, into referrals more than any marketing. Well, in the past, we didn't have social media decades ago. Now, to survive in real estate, even that does not always attract the buyer that makes people talk, marketing is necessary. And again, I say that because I do a lot of off-market properties, so I cannot market the properties, but people like to see things. And I have my marketing gal who has beautiful quality of works out there. And very happy to have the new development so I can market. But going back to what you say, like any relationship, is the commitment and the how truthful you are into that relationship. And I believe that if I have a client, and when I say a client, it's not only one individual person, could be a female or a male, it could be a couple, it could be a whole family. And if they are going to believe they are going to hurt me because they are going to make me drive around, show them properties and not close with me, but close with their cousin who has the license, doesn't know much, but I did all the work and I already showed them how to do the offer and the counter offer, but they are closing with a cousin. It happened. I'm not the first victim neither, but they are not hurting me, because usually what happens is that they do something wrong, and then is when I learn about that, and they have to either wait for a good time or see how to cancel that, because at that point I simply be more honest than before and ask them to go with an attorney to represent them, and they will spend the money they thought they were saving or that they probably, because the commission was being paid to the cousin, they need to spend it into the professional that is going to take them out of the mishap. Now, in the in the United States, we have a new law, if you like to call it, is a final judgment that became part of law, and NAR, the National Association of Realtors, is implementing, whereby in the residential only, you are not supposed to expose compensation to the buyer or the tenant representative. And is something that a lot of people, the first thing they say, is the house available? Sometimes they don't even ask if the house is available. How much is the commission for if I bring you the buyer? So they didn't really help doing anything. They did worse than before. So those who have that real estate license and client, and they don't even have a buyer representation agreement or a tenant representation agreement, whereby that person commits with them and says, well, if the seller doesn't pay you a commission, I pay you because you are working for me. That's something that when, for example, in Europe and in Latin America, when you are being represented as a buyer by a real estate professional, you sign an agreement where that person is going to take you to see some properties, also for liability insurance and other reasons why. And then you will compensate your own agent because it's working for you, not for the seller, because you don't know who the seller will be, but that person is working for you. So that exists here in America. It was just that it was prostituted by the same realtors who made the sellers incentivate more if they get compensated by slashing the commission that the listing agent has. So that's why the good listing agent just keep looking for their own buyers instead of trying to mingle too much with the realtors. So now it's mandatory that if you have a listing, you have to put it in the MLS. No, why? What happened to the off markets? What happened to those that I can market in my own website or by doing the phone calls? That's something that needs to be revised because the monopoly is being manipulated to a point that is asphyxiating, and the big firms like Compass, like EXP, Sotheby's, Coldwell Banker, they are reinventing, going back to what used to be real estate in the early 1900s. Each firm represents their client. They strive to get the representation as a transaction broker, which is what I am. I represent buyers, sellers, tenant landlords in the same transaction. And if needed, then I go to single agency. But the people got very comfortable into expecting that they are always going to be compensated by the other side, not educating their client. Respect me. I'm working for you. If you want me to do and give you the best, great. Pay me for that. So the end result is people that are expecting the seller or the seller's agent to pay them a compensation for just bringing a person, when then the listing agent has to do the contract, has to work, has to even meet with the inspector, have to do everything, and the person is just waiting for the check. They don't even go to closing. Well, today we don't go to closing most of the time, but they don't even connect with the title company if there is something needed. That happens to me a lot. I have a listing and I have someone who brings a buyer, which my client agrees to have a contract. I can tell you 90% of the times, I am the one doing everything. Even the title company says, I have never worked with someone like you. And I say, because people forget what real estate, the practice of real estate is. So all these explanations I'm giving to you is because there are a lot of things happening out there, starting with the relationship with the client that you are representing, developing all the way to what is going to happen, including a post-closing. The involvement of the real estate professional is critical, And that is the only way the real estate professional is going to get educated when they go step by step with the client or clients to perform the deal from the beginning to the end and after the end.
This makes a lot of sense, and I really like the way you phrase it, to be honest, because I think it is super important to exactly do it in this way and not being, I don't know, a little bit more lax about this entire relationship. Tell us about your business, Deluxe. You do both residential but also commercial. What is there also maybe the difference in dealing business there?
Well, Deluxe Real Estate Services is a boutique real estate firm. We tailor down to what our client needs are. And that's what we focus. My passion to commercial and industrial came from closing my law firm, having the real estate license, and starting my first steps in a commercial firm. And the great deal of doing business, because the commercial and the industrial is down to numbers, and they are committed to what they put in black and white, at least in the United States. Doesn't mean that at the last moment they stand up from the table and there is no deal and that's it. But there are no feelings. That I have started the residential because of doing favors to some of my commercial clients. And also remembering residential is anything that is less than 5 units. So I have also done, and a lot of times I have done the purchase and sale of income producing properties, which are duplex, triplex, fourplex, certain amount of land and so on. So that's considered residential. But when I do the duplex, triplex, fourplex as income producing, that is to me more commercial, because I'm dealing with someone who is thinking into the finance side. I have also been part of what we call the bulk purchase and sale. I have investors that purchase more than 300, 500, or 1,000 single family homes, duplex, triplex, fourplex as a portfolio, and they manage that. And then they sell it as a portfolio. So literally, I have 1,000 checks coming for each folio number, even that the transaction took place in one commercial contract. So that is fascinating to me. I always say that you cannot do commercial and industrial very well if you do not know residential, because the people are the ones that move real estate. The developers are the ones that think, well, why am I going to develop this Costco or this 300 unit residential in certain area? What is over there that I'm going to supply what demand? And that is part of what I'm coming from. I'm always thinking how I'm going to supply what demand. And so I always joke now that yes, my passion continues being the commercial side. But then I become a girly girl when I do the residential. I have great luck with a lot of people because I balance from those that are starting their first step, and I take them and I show them how to, even a process of 2-3 years. If they have a bad credit, we have to wait until they get the good credit and they really do the taxes, and they need to have the last 2 years of taxes. So I have to wait 2.5-3 years with some of the people that are doing their first time home buying, and then take them through the different steps and what grants are being given for them and so on. But with that, I am being involved with the government, and I'm seeing how the government are providing things that the developer that is looking to probably build affordable housing, I can find them land. So that's when my commercial goes. Or I can find them the property that they can redevelop, or that they can remodel or tear down and build a new one. if it is going to be for a condominium, or if it is going to be now a mixed use retail and residential, or warehouse and office space. So all of these are factors that I am passionate about because it's not boring. So that's the reason I do commercial, industrial, and residential, is because at the end of the day, they are interacted. I probably jump a little in between areas. I do not have one proper location because I also moved from the area. So I used to live in Surfside, Valhalla area, and I cover Miami a lot. But I have many things going on in Central Florida and Broward and Palm Beach County. But when I moved to Lighthouse Point, I cover a lot Miami. So I travel to Miami every day. I call it going to Latin America. But I'm closer to Central Florida if I have to go to some of these investments in the duplex, triplex, fourplex, because they are still affordable for the numbers you have to play. But again, Broward County is developing beautiful. We are having that beautiful Riviera that goes from Fort Lauderdale, passing through Pompano Beach, going through Hillsborough Beach, and then everything that is happening east and west of I-95 or US 1 is just magical. So I love to be involved in the residential because it's that beauty of what the developers are doing and how the faces of what became an undesired place because of the evolution and bad practices of the zoning and allowing some relocation without any planning ended up into, okay, we need to clean up this, and the cities got smart. So now we are back to having what I saw 4 decades ago. I was a little child, and going to Fort Lauderdale was like, wow, that's old money, that's exclusive. So now it's happening again. But you needed to wait those 4 or 5 decades to see it. And Pompano, that probably people that passed away, but they came here when they were in their 30s and saw the beauty of that Riviera, they are no longer around. And the new generation says, wait a minute. So instead of going to Cabo, let's see what we can do in here. And they are doing this beauty. So I love what we do in the Lux because it really brings the attention of the investors, no matter if they are investing in commercial or residential, or if I am dealing with a wife picking up where are they going to live, and with the husband, where is he going to continue producing his business? I love that.
Jacqueline, I really like the conversation with you, and you give us like a very clear idea. And I always love talking to you because you are so honest in your entire approach. You have been guiding us through like the entire process, starting with market conditions, talking about the taxes, talking about the entire benefits of investing. You talked about the buying process and making sure that the money is safe. You gave us also a very interesting overview regarding the comparison of what it takes to do commercial versus residential and making sure that you have there also the skill set. I would like to ask you a question regarding what happens actually when I invest and I can't pay. I can't pay taxes, I can't pay the mortgage, and I'm just like in a situation where I overstretched a little bit my budget. And how can
You
I?
contact me, you call me, send me a WhatsApp, an email. I have to analyze your situation, why you can perform. Is that a property that you purchase for leisure? We have to put it in the market right away. If it is a property that you purchase for income producing, I have to analyze what is going on. Where are the tenants? What income producing were you doing? Who was your manager? What happened? Was that taken by a tornado and is no longer there and you have to continue paying mortgage and stuff? Or is that because of mismanagement? So the answer to your questions are many. And you need to contact me and explain to me, and we go from there. Again, I tailor down to your needs. I cannot have one answer to one question.
Perfect. I like that. Is there anything you would like to mention which we haven't touched? Anything you would like to share with the audience?
Well, I don't even know who the audience will be. If they are going to be international investors, if the investment is going to be in the commercial, if the investment is going to be for their second home. I prefer for them to contact me directly and tell me, Jacqueline, I saw you with Michael France, and I am interested in learning more about. It would be the location, Miami, or you mentioned this Pompano Beach. What is that? Or you mentioned the Mac. What is their investment? Or who are the big players that are developing where? I don't know. And so probably remind the people that I am fluent in Spanish. Therefore, puedo conducir la entrevista perfectamente en español. And I have so much to offer that I prefer the person to tell me, I want this or I want that, because you never have enough to satisfy someone who is hungry. So, who is my audience? I'm ready for you. And if I don't know, I ask. That's something I'm always studying. I'm always in trying to reinvent or invent if it doesn't exist. Therefore, so depending on the audience, I believe that we have covered a broad event of what is happening in the real estate of Florida. We have, look, like I go to Riva. Riva is one of the many projects that is a beautiful development with that Italian touch. Developers are from Peru, but then you also have Americans. It's a beautiful architectural everything. This is the one that is offering EB5. So from one product, I can sell to the wife the condo, to the husband the green card, and offer the family with the children under 21 years old possibility to come to the United States with a green card. They don't need to become citizen. They can just enjoy, spend time, live and do what they want and have a beautiful property. Then you see, I have this other gorgeous building. What is beautiful on this one, I was negotiating that land for a client of mine who didn't want to pay what the seller wanted, commercial. And then we have Ombel. Ombel is one of these gorgeous, beautiful developments. I call them the dancing towers. It has retail. It already have one of the largest gyms, Equinox, and it's in the middle of Fort Lauderdale. It's in the Flagler Village. This is becoming the new hub. The prices of them versus the prices of this other development that is a block away are huge. This is Viceroy, and you have Viceroy in Brickell that is being purchased a lot, like Baccarat by Mexican. But then Viceroy for Lauderdale, it's a different monster. And the people buying in Fort Lauderdale are the ones from Northeast, the ones from Europe. So the same name, but two different locations, two different ethnicities. Ombel is next door. Ombel is more for young people. It's more affordable. It's beautiful. But we also have Cirque, which is a building that has already 6 years. It was a condo deconversion, was an apartment building. And the owner decided to do condo deconversion. Well, the first buyers are the same tenants. They are offering a 4.5% interest rate to people that needs leverage. Why? They mingle with some lender that knows the building very well from inside out. It has been kept in perfect conditions. The developer still is going to invest a lot of millions of dollars to put it like the new thing. And they are giving this to whomever obviously qualify. You have to have a good credit. Because if you purchase as a second home or as an investment and you have a tenant that is already paying for what is going to cost you the mortgage, they are giving you that break of an interest in 4.5 when we still have it in 7% out there. So why are they doing that? Because next to Cirque, you are having 2 towers coming up, gorgeous 2 towers. So I have so much to offer to and around all these places. If the building doesn't have the retail, which I am very busy right now looking for restaurateurs, I have rooftop, I have spaces for retail, for high-end restaurants, high-end cafes, for regular cafes, juices. So I am actively looking for people in the food industry to fill up spaces from South Miami all the way to above Palm Beach. We have all these buildings to fill up the empty spaces. On top of that, I have new development of office buildings that below they have the retail ready to go for restaurants, but they have the rooftop ready for restaurants and bar. So I am seeking clients. I want the foreigners to come and bring their beautiful restaurants. I want the people from New York, Chicago, San Francisco to bring their beauty because I have now something to offer to them. You don't want to pay the rental price? Buy it because I have them for sale too. You want brand new? You want to move probably your business in 3 years? This development is going to be up in 3 years, but you can pre-lease now. We can do pre-leasing in paper. So all of that is my audience.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Sending the best regards to South Florida, and always great to talk to you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Michael. Thank you very much for your invitation on behalf of the Lux Real Estate Services.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This video is brought to you by HalloCasa. Our tool transforms independent local real estate agents to global real estate agents. Create your own profile for free and get contacted by international investors. Sign up with the link in the description.